So here we are. Property has a lot of mould and rust, and purportedly lots of water running down here. And the suggestion is that there is a leak from the roof above, penetrating damp. But actually, in reality, if it were coming from above, which it isn't, you would see brown staining, because it brings the water will bring through colour from bricks and timber above. This is that's the external wall, but it's dry lined, as a lot of modern walls are. So that is, it has a thin layer of plasterboard with a gap and probably some timber battens, but it could be what's called dot and dab here. So this is using radio frequency damp meter, and we got very high levels there, dampness, but here it's completely dry. If we look here, there's lots of condensation there and mould around here. The tenants tell me they've taken a lot of mould away from these windows, washed it, and I think they repainted quite a lot of the walls elsewhere because they were worried about living in mouldy conditions, which is understandable. We have a lot of rust on here. This radiator's been completely turned off, but I'm told that only happened on Thursday when somebody recommended that. Actually, it's counterproductive. You want to keep it warmer rather than cooler to drive off the humidity. They've got a dehumidifier here, which I understand they use for drying clothes. They've got a washer dryer, but apparently it only it dries to a level, and then they have to use the dehumidifier to dry it. There's this small, these are really, this take out virtually nothing from the air. Here are some thermal images where red and yellow is about 5 degrees warmer than blue and purple. See the dots? Those are the dots and dab. It's because it's the adhesive holding the plasterboard to the wall that's causing heat loss. It's where the water is starting to show in the form of condensation, and it's been mistaken for penetrating damp, that is a leak from the roof, but it isn't. It's condensation, which I explained to the tenants. It's not a defect of the building. Every building's going to have a cold point, and this is yours. So I'm going to show you what the primary issues are. So the bathroom is the main issue. Here we have a fan, and if you hear the sound of the fan, that's not going to encourage anyone to keep it on. But when the light is switched off, the fan goes off. So 90% of the vapor from showering remains in the bathroom when the lights, when people leave, so when the lights are turned off. So 90% of that is going to come back into the property and obviously into the bedroom through there. Then the other issue is this is using an anemometer. If we look here, this is the speed. This should show 15 litres a second, and we are seeing 5 litres a second, so wholly inadequate. So really you should be looking to replace that, and I would say, given the issues that you've had, I would say a continuous flow extractor fan. There's lots of mould, there's condensation around the shaver. The bathroom's the key problem. Here's a data logger. I'm going to just see whether it's normal that half the battle is dust that builds up in these things, and even though I think you should replace it because it's noisy and doesn't have an override, I think that we could go some way to improving it. Okay, so I'm just going to simply, I'm not going to take this one apart. It is theoretically one that has an override on it. Let's see that. That may solve that problem. So what I'm looking at here is to see how many wires go into the extractor fan. For it to have an overrun, it needs to have an extra set of wires or of cables to the consumer unit, and it doesn't have that, which means that you'll almost certainly need to have an electrician install a fan with an overrun on it, or a continuous flow fan. It's about 50% better, but even so it's not sufficient. So the compounding factors here are there is a kitchen extractor fan, but this switch is no longer working, and you have to switch it on here, which is obviously quite difficult and I doubt will happen very often. It's also very noisy, so I doubt the tenants ever use it. There is some airflow, but I don't think it's going as well as it should do. And in fact, it's difficult to be sure. I'll turn this off now, it's noisy. So if we look here, I was sent an image by the tenants, and I'll see if I can get it up. But so if you look here, there was a damp patch there. Now I would say that that comes from dot and dab. If I use, this is the radio frequency damp meter, and it doesn't show any damp issues there. But this is plasterboard that's been held together with dot and dab. Apparently there was a lot of mould, and the tenants have scrubbed it off, possibly repainting sections. I can't see that, but this whole wall is currently dry with slight signs of mould. It's dry here. We can see though that's condensation on this double glazed window. Trickle vents are open and you can just about see light through them, so they're probably, I imagine they're quite dirty by now though. And so that's the key issue here. So dehumidifier has been used, which is great. Whether it's used all the time, who knows? But that's fine. I think the tenants thought they were doing the right thing. I think they wanted to stay on, but unfortunately there are a number of factors that went against them, not least working from home after COVID, the energy crisis, almost certainly reducing the heating in certain rooms. The radiator was turned off in the bedroom, which obviously exacerbates the problem there. But also the fans are noisy. They're old, and I think they only need to last for a few years, maybe 5 years, before they need updating. So there are some things that the landlord can do, and there's some things the tenants can do. I'd recommend replacing the bathroom fan with a continuous flow bathroom fan with at least 15 litres a second extraction rate. A new kitchen extractor fan, because the current one, the switch doesn't work properly, with an instruction to tenants to use it. I would ask the tenants to close the bathroom door all the time when not using it, in and out, that is. And to use a dehumidifier whenever drying clothes internally, or whenever the humidity inside the flat, when the dew point is above the outside temperature. I'll be doing quite a lot of work on the data loggers, which I plan to pick up tomorrow.